For those of you who I did not yet get a chance to meet, my name is Jory Fitzgerald, and it's really my pleasure to welcome you all here. I want to thank you. I know many of you traveled far and wide to make it here today, and I want to especially thank Carolyn for reaching out to Chicago Voyagers and filling us in on how things are going for your dad and the family, and really for making this possible today. I have goosebumps, which I'm prone to, but especially at occasions like this that are filled with so much wonderful love and beauty and generosity, and I think that those three words really sum up your life, Tom, and the very little bit that I've learned from Bernie and from David, and also in talking to Stephen Weinrich, who filled me in on some of your joint adventures, and corresponding with Carolyn and chatting with her on the phone a bit. Yours has been a life of a lot of adventure, it sounds like, a lot of vision, and certainly a life that's been very generously shared with lots of people, including, I understand, over a couple hundred youth whose lives you touched during the time that you were involved with Carpe Ventus. Thank you all for being with us. This will be a very short, informal little gathering here today. We just really wanted an opportunity to come together, to dedicate the Stockwell, which we'll talk a little bit about in a minute, and mostly just to honor you, Tom, and your many contributions to both Carpe Ventus and now Chicago Voyagers. And so to kind of fill you in on that journey of how Carpe Ventus became a part of Chicago Voyagers, I'll turn it over to my colleague and the founder of Chicago Voyagers, Bernie Root.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, in terms of, so David and I met 3-4 years ago, do you think?
I think longer than that.
Longer?
Even.
5 years ago? Okay.
Yeah, started talking about
but maybe 4. So we got this boat donated like 4 years ago. And we didn't have a sailing program. I didn't know how to sail, right? So I'm reaching out to all these people, and I'm like, hey, we need to figure out how do we train people and what our safety practices are and everything like that. And so Dave and I kind of got connected through an agency partner, Youth Crossroads, that they kind of knew us both. And so we kind of kept in touch over the years, and kind of David's helped us out with some of our policies and stuff like that. And so then, last year is when the kind of the conversation got started about joining forces between the two organizations. And Chicago Voyagers has done really well with our fundraising, and we've built our team to 12 people now. When I heard that about this opportunity, I was just really excited. So one of the things I've noticed about our sailing programs is that it really encourages teamwork with the kids. So if you think about just like a tack, right? You have to have someone on the helm, there's someone on the port, there's someone on starboard. You have to communicate around the boat, right? What's going to happen, and that's perfect for our kids, right? Because our kids are to be part of a positively functioning team, which is really healthy for all of us. And so that's kind of how we got kind of going. And so so the Carpe Ventus sailing program is now run by Chicago Voyagers. And we have the 2 boats, and actually we just got another boat donated.
Oh, nice. All right.
We just got a Catalina 30 boat donated a few weeks ago.
Wow. Nice.
So we're oh my gosh, we have another boat.
That's great.
But you never know. You make connections, and someone like a Bay Marine, we talked to them, and then when someone came to them about donating a boat, they said, no, you need to go to the Chicago Voyagers and their Carpe Ventus program and donate the boat to them. So that's kind of the history of how we got here. And we've had the boats out, I don't know, 7 or 8 times probably with kids so far. In the last 7 or 8 weeks or something like that, how long it's been as a summer. So that's a little bit about our history. So we're just really excited to be able to take Carpe Ventus to a new level. We work with about 500 kids a year. and so we like to get like as many of them as we can out on the boats. Should I do the reading now, Jory?
Yes, that would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
So there was a reading here from Jonah, and Tom, we heard this is a reading that was the one that you connected with. So I just kind of like to maybe read that and comment a little bit. And this is from Jonah 2 verses 2 to 9. He said, "In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead, I called for help. And you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight. Yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me, the deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath me barred me forever. But you, Lord my God, brought my life up from the pit. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say, salvation comes from the Lord." You know, I think about like this reading. I think about like this being like our story, like all of our stories. Like, because we all go through these moments of like struggle, right, in our lives where we feel like we're kind of out in the ocean, and you know, we're just kind of having a hard time, and we're grasping for something, and hopefully we're grasping for God, but we're kind of grasping for something. And but the reading also reminds me of like the kids we serve, and so our kids are 90% low-income kids of color. So we work with special education kids, we work with homeless kids, we work with a lot of kids in special in residential care. We work with just a lot of different community agencies. We have a couple groups that are juvenile justice-based groups where kids are getting into some trouble, and they need some extra support to get on the right track. And I was just thinking about this boy Isaiah, who was out here sailing with us. And we first met him last summer, and it was kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and his agency was looking for something because everything was kind of shut down, and like a lot of our partners run like indoor programs, and so they can't do anything in the pandemic. And so we signed him up for like a series of programs over the summer, and we kind of got to know him. We got to get his peers, and he was here on the dock, and like he was like so scared of going out on the boat, so like he would take the life jacket off. I'm not going. And then we kind of talked to him a little bit, and we stepped back a little bit, and then he put it back on. And then he's like, well, I'm only going if I can be at the helm the entire time. That's the only way I'm going on the boat. And so we said, well, we can't do that. I mean, we have to share, right? I mean, everyone kind of needs to get a turn. Anyway, so I think it took 45 minutes to get him on the boat. And one time he stepped on the boat, and then it kind of moved, and he stepped off. Anyway, so we finally got him on the boat, and once when he got his turn at the wheel, it was pretty incredible. Like you could just like see his focus, and he was like kind of in this really positive place. He wasn't thinking about kind of what was going on at home. In the fall, he and his friend were involved in the shooting. So he got shot, his friend got shot back in their neighborhood, and his friend actually passed away, didn't make it, and he went through a really kind of dark time. So we ended up signing them up for what we call the Julie program, which is like a 6-month kind of program where we get together regularly, and then we took him on a backpacking trip to Sand Ridge, and there was for like the next 4 months, it was just life was like awful. Like he would come, he'd step out, I'm not doing this, was the first thing he'd say when he stepped out of the van. Eventually he would, we would just kind of take like a low key, it's like, we'll participate as much as you want. You know, we don't force our kids to do anything. and then eventually he would jump in on whatever it was we were doing, and there was just all this oppositional stuff. I remember one program where he and the chaperone were like arguing like the whole program. It was all like arguments like the whole program. And we kind of regrouped and said, how do we work with this guy? Like he's going through all this stuff, and we just decided we're just going to find the smallest little positive thing and encourage him. And so we just, for the next few months, that's all we did. We found the small, we asked for his help. We found the smallest little positive things to encourage him. And so slowly he kind of came out of that, and he actually became a leader in the group. And he started being a positive example for other kids. And so it was really kind of cool to see that kind of journey. We just kind of finished and had a graduation last week with him. And it was just really exciting to see kind of the growth he went through. And so he's an example of one of the kids that we work with. And Tom, unfortunately, we haven't gotten to know each other, which is, it is what it is, I guess, right? But I know your work with Representatives, and I know that you're a man of faith. And Proverbs 3:6 says, "In all ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct my paths." And so from what I've heard about your involvement in Representatives, like and it's really cool to hear about like the influence you've made and actually will continue. Like all the stuff that you've invested, like the boats and all that stuff, like that's going to continue, right? Like for years and years and years, like we're going to be taking kids out on these boats. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that, for all that you invested, your time and your energy and your treasure. It's just, there's kids like Isaiah that need this program, right? And we don't necessarily, when Isaiah we were the only program that was getting him out of the house. Like school was closed, it was all remote, everything else was all remote, right? So it was Zoom, and it was Chicago Blazers, right? And so we're just really excited to kind of enter this new chapter. And so we're really excited to honor you with naming the boat after you, and just we're really kind of proud to kind of take on this mantle of the legacy that you and David are leaving us, and just to kind of continue the work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So David, I think some of you probably met Dave Foster, who's standing to Bernie's right, and ironically, because of how we do our work today, it's the first time that I'm meeting Dave in person. So I'm grateful for today for many reasons, not the least of which is the opportunity to actually face-to-face. We've had the opportunity to chat and talk about Corviventus, and so I just wanted to turn it over to you, Dave, to share kind of your story and the birth of Corviventus and how that intertwined with Dave, with Tom's vision, and how that comes together.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's a privilege to just be able to talk about a little bit about Tom, your legacy, past, present, and future, and when my first encounter with Tom was a surprising one. It was not sort of a normal kind of experience. We were getting my wife and I were getting ready for Groundworks training, which is one of the things that we use really sets the groundwork for an environment of trust in these events. So we've got youth like Bernie's talking about coming in from very different experiences in their lives than our volunteers, who oftentimes are coming from a lot of resources, access, privilege, all the things. And the youth are coming from difficult situations. So it's very easy to say or do something that can break trust, totally unintentionally, right? We can, make a mistake there, and then that can kind of kill the momentum before it even starts, right? So we're really trying to, with Groundworks, set a good foundation with that. So we talk about challenging things. We talk about the history of Chicago. How do we get to the place where we are with with race and with kind of the situations that a lot of these kids are coming from, and we talk about difficult and challenging things that sometimes we get some pushback on from people, and that's all right. I mean, it's part of our Groundworks experience is very interactive. It's trying to bring people into the conversation wherever they are, and we're all right with some of the pushback. But we, in order to set this up, we put a Eventbrite event online. We're trying to get people from these mentoring programs, the volunteer mentors, the staff, and then our volunteers for Carpe Ventus to come and get training in this. And then my wife comes to me, as one of the administrative work for it, and says, "Hey, do you know a Thomas Stockwell?" I'm like, "No, I don't actually. I haven't come across Thomas." So it's like, well, he's signed up. He's coming to this groundwork. So we're kind of like, wow, this could go sideways. I mean, we don't know who this is. Most of the people that are coming have had some sort of connection, either to us directly or to one of the mentoring programs that we work with. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll see how this goes. So Tom shows up, and it was just a delight to encounter the Tom we all know and love, who just has this heart for youth and mentorship, and he came in with a vision for sailing and mentorship. He said before he even moved to Chicago, he had started writing a plan for a sailing mentoring program, and so we started sharing our visions and kind of seeing like there's a lot of overlap. There's some distinctive elements to each, but he was willing to jump in and just 100% in. And I'm looking at the drive he's got to do to get back and forth to these events and meetings or whatever we're doing. Thinking we'll see how this goes, but he's always there on time, ready to serve, and just so generous with your time and energy and enthusiasm. So, and even talking about kind of what that could look like in the future, and joined the board and got really involved with kind of dreaming about what can this look like, and so that was really great, and even just on the kind of on the personal side, Tom is great with connecting with folks on the boat too. So there's a lot going on with sailing. We're not just taking kids for a ride. We're trying to, as Bernie was saying, we're getting they're working the lines. They're steering the boat, and it can get on edge sometimes, and you've got to sail in the wind that God gives you. So it's like sometimes that's great, sometimes that's not great. Sometimes there's no wind, sometimes there's too much wind, more than you'd like. And so there's a lot of adjustment to that, but he was still able to make these really vital connections in the moment with people, just relationally, and kind of, as we're prepping everybody, sometimes students are terrified to get on the water. Some of them don't know how to swim. They've never even seen Lake Michigan before. This is the first time they're seeing it, and they're this huge body of water. They're thinking, are there sharks here? Are there whales? Like, what did we just hit? Like, that's just a wave,
They always ask about sharks.
Yeah, always sharks.
It's universal.
There's yes, terrified of the sharks. So we gotta try to talk down those fears. Like sometimes somebody gets a little seasick or whatever, but just Tom just has a gift for connecting with people in that environment in the midst of all that, and then debriefing it really well afterwards and kind of getting to these deeper connections, helping the youth and the mentors connect, because that's the ongoing relationship that really makes a big difference in their lives too. So that's a great legacy in the past, and it carries on into the future too. As some of those kids said, I'll remember this day for the rest of my life, and I think we will. I think all of us who went on those adventures will have those memories of sharing those times together. And Tom, you've been an inspiration to me, and continually creating a legacy for me in the moment of just your courage in this fight for life and for health over the last year. And every time I call or text or whatever, it's like you're so positive and hopeful and upbeat. Just incredible strength. So thanks for that. And I think there's that hope continues on, right? And you and I believe, there's a hereafter, and I think someday we'll be sharing the joy of sailing in heaven too. I think there's probably great wind, great waves there. That's right. We'll design our own boats
with a nice little with some wind.
Yeah, just the right amount of wind.
There will be a different lake for the power boaters. So that'll be good. So yeah, I'd love to just pray a quick prayer. Maybe you guys can pray too, but I wanted to just pray a blessing for the family and for all of us really moving forward. So Father, thanks for Tom. Thank you for his legacy, past, present, future, and the opportunity to celebrate him here and just celebrate with his family. And God, we just ask for a strong sense of your presence for him and for his family and for all of us as we just head into uncertain future for all of us, right? God, we know that you're here for us, and so yeah, we just lean into you and ask for your blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
I just want to acknowledge that Dave has been a constant prayer partner since the day of my diagnosis. And as you mentioned, we talk by text or phone quite frequently, and extended a prayer to me, and I'm just really blessed by your grace and the spirit of love and compassion that you extended to me, and so I hope. Thank you.
Thank you, you all for doing this. Thank you.
So I was doing a little bit of research. Well, when Carolyn, when you reached out to me and we started thinking together, how could we best celebrate and acknowledge and make sure that this incredible vision that you've had, Tom, and gift that you've shared with all of us and with all of the youth that have been served by Mentis and now by Chicago Voyagers, that we continue to honor that legacy. And so we're trying to think of what would be the most appropriate, meaningful way of doing that. And we had this idea that perhaps the best way would be to name one of our boats, a boat that you have been out on many voyages, the Windependent, which is a wonderful name. I mean, Windependent, that's a great name for a sailing vessel. But we thought that giving it a new name might be a great way to make sure that for many, many years to come, we have an opportunity to share your story and your vision for that hopeful, optimistic view of the future for all of us, and particularly for the youth that we serve. So, as I was researching how does one properly dedicate a new boat, and there's a lot of controversy on the subject, by the way. I do not encourage anyone to go down the rabbit hole. It's a very twisted little hole. But we went with the belief that with a new sailor, that there should be a new name, and so it's kind of a nice passing on from Mentis to Chicago Voyagers that we're renaming the Windependent the Stockwell. And there are a few things that I've learned that are very much, so sailors, I understand, are quite superstitious. There's a lot of lore out there, right? I guess when you spend a lot of time at the sea, your imagination can get the best of you in good and bad ways. And so there are a few things that are customary to happen when a boat is renamed. And one is that there should always be a toast, and that toast must include alcohol. So I will tell you, I'm gonna come over here, and if I could ask, there was someone here who said, you, right? Yes, is it, tell me your name again. Rebecca, you're an event planning, so maybe you can help me pour some sparkling Prosecco, which we will pass around. And the other thing I understand that's very important is that there's a toast. And I'm Irish, so I'm familiar with toast, though I did not select an Irish toast. But we will make sure that we get, yeah, that would be great. That we'll get everyone a cup, and we will raise our glasses. And if you prefer to have something non-alcoholic, there's iced tea and sparkling water. So please help yourself, but we would like everyone to raise a glass in honor of Tom.
So the kids don't get the Prosecco, but you can drink juice or something.
Thank you so much.
Stop hiding behind your screen and participate.
Not you.
Oh, I guess like you can
Very
well.
welcome.
I'm not very, I've never been a server.
Thank you.
Who does not yet have a glass?
What's your name again, sweetie?